This is a 33 square meter bathhouse. The first question we have to ask is what should the table be like? We go into the steam room. It's for this enjoyment that we build these bathhouses. Friends, hello everyone! Today we have an unusual review. We're going to tell you about a glued laminated timber house. Oh no, it's a nice house and I like the architecture, but today we're going to tell you about a Kelo bathhouse that we built with a high-tech design, or rather modern style. This style combines on the one hand the traditional bathing atmosphere and the spirit which we love, and the forms, the proportions which I love very much. It's the shape of the modern building, where there's just a slope, without the usual traditional gables. And the roof slope is supported by 5 long glass windows. And I like this combination a lot, because on the one hand, it takes advantage of the modern architecture, the large glazing area, you get a lot of natural light under the space. And on the other hand, a log cabin. If you imagine the same thing made of laminated timber, it would be a simple box. If you imagine the same thing made of brick, it would be the ordinary, unimpressive building. But it's made of logs. In my view, I think it's a cool-looking building. Why? Let's look closely at the facade. It's primarily due to the fact that we've got overcuts. They create an additional kind of accent on the natural character of the material. On the hand cutting. That it's not some kind of factory construction, but a handmade thing. And each overcut has its own shape, its own size. Notice that the bars don't go all the way to the bottom because of the low plinth, and they don't go all the way to the eaves at the top because there's that long stretched band of glass. Because of that, the log cabin, it is as if it is additionally accentuated against the smooth linear forms of the stone belt and the glass top. And here's another little nuance that I like too. Look at this. Here the gable is made of ton and groove board. It's not made of logs, and that makes sense too. This, by the way, is structurally correct at the same time. Why? Because when we make the log part uneven, I mean here is the height, for example, here would be, let's say, more than this part. What does that do? In the long run, especially for larger buildings, say 200, 300, 400 square meters, different height of the log house gives different shrinkage. So there will be more shrinkage, and there the shrinkage will be less, which means that the angle of the roof will change. And with this effect of uneven shrinkage is due to the geometric unevenness of the sides of the house. There are often big problems. In this case, 2.5 meters, 2% shrinkage. There was 5 centimeters of shrinkage everywhere in this log cabin. And so this framing, the glass frame part on top, it just goes down evenly on this log cabin. That's why we recommend this constructional scheme for the log cabins, when all around the log cabin ends at one mark, and then this combined glass and frame part starts. So we had modern architecture and traditional log cabins befriend each other and work together. I think it's very cool. It's look interesting. It's structurally very reliable. By the way, it's such a design, you can increase the length and the width and nothing will change. I mean, of course, the shape or maybe some proportions will change, but structurally, there won't be any problems at all. This is also an important advantage, because buildings with more complex roof geometry, with more complex geometry of volumes, they of course do not allow you to simply add or subtract something. Here you can do it without problems. If you want to add more here, one room, let's say one bedroom, it won't cause any problems. If you want to take something away somewhere, it's no problem, you can do that. And by the way, the proportions between, say, the living room, it's in the central part, the bathhouse it's on the right, and the entrance part on the left. It can also be different. It won't affect it in any way. There's complete creative freedom for the architect. For the designer, nothing restricts you. A bathhouse like this, in fact, it would really fit very well in almost any site, in any style. In this case, we have more or less modern house, Yeah, there's the bay window, of course, a lot of glazing, glass enclosure on the balconies, that kind of modern style. And the bathhouse matches the house perfectly. If there was even more high-tech style house, even if it wasn't a wooden house, but say a house made of concrete or brick, I think that such a bathhouse would also match it perfectly. That is a natural material in a modern form. It allows you to connect our bathhouse to the side and to the house in almost any shape and material. This is also a very important advantage, because many people, when they buy a house or when they build a house, they start to wonder, for example, a bathhouse or guest house. They think, well, it turns out I'm supposed to be continuing the same theme and use the same material to build a bathhouse. Well, take it yourself. Building with bricks, of course, it's not so cool as building a bathhouse out of Kelo. So this is not an archaic form, not the traditional familiar little hut, but a kind of linear constructivist form. In my opinion, it is an excellent option in combination of the Kelo. Well, I'm getting a little cold, so I'm inviting you inside the bathhouse. Let's see how it's set up inside. I think you'll really like it. I'm looking at the bathhouse, and I love it. Everything just perfect. The bathtub, and the firewood, and the facade itself, and the lighting. I see it's all done well, but honestly, I don't understand. Why didn't our window guys take those white tags out of windows? Why don't they take them off? I often see windows, plastic windows, on which they do not remove the protective film on the plastic on the outside and inside, and houses sometimes have that film on them for decades, and here we have tags that are not removed for some reason. I can't stand to look at it. I'm going to take it off, it's really annoying. So friends, I want to share with you the design of the windows that we use in many of our facilities. The only thing we are buying here is the insulating glass unit alone. The window construction itself, it's made out of regular Kelo board, which we prepared by ourselves right here in the construction site, to the size. And we get such a result. It's a laconic, simple, but reliable construction. Friends, this bath is 33 square meters. Some time ago, 33 square meters was enough for an average Soviet family to live in. But now 33 square meters can fit 4, 5, and maybe even 6 people in a full-fledged bathhouse. How to do it? How not to lose a single square centimeter? We're going to tell you about that right now. Today, let's start as usual, which is logical, with a hallway. There's enough space in this hallway to organize the shelves on the left and the right, and still leave enough space for passage. That's very important. There's also some extra shelves like this. Maybe they're even more decorative, because on one side they look very simple, there's no elements, but in fact they're not so simple, because each one of these shelves is made up of 4 elements. To be precise, 5 elements, because it's glued together out of 2 boards. The edges, the sapwood, silvery beautiful sapwood, with traces of bark beetle. It's glued together like this, and it's all done very precisely, with less than a millimeter accuracy. And this shelf, it's fixed like this. So there's no fasteners, we don't see any chucks here. No metal fasteners. Everything is hidden, at the same time the shelf is strong enough. But back to the layout. Look, the space looks very open. Very bright, even without artificial light. That is, if the lighting is off, it's bright. Why is that? Because first of all, we have a window door to light the space. And secondly, of course, the huge transom. It's actually a very cool thing. When even you walk into a hallway, and before you even turn on the light, you have enough light to get your bearings. I think it's an important advantage. The modern architecture, which is supposed to have a lot of glass, it also provides that opportunity. The casings, shelves, they create coziness, comfort, and immediately the atmosphere of such an elegant bath space. Okay, so the living room or lounge in the bathhouse is an important space. Because as much as we love the bathhouse, the steam room itself is where we spend, well, maybe 15 to 20% of the time. And most of the time we spend communicating. And we communicate usually sitting at the table. So when you ask yourself what the layout of the bed should be, oddly enough, the first question you have to ask is how big should the table be? Is it for 4 people, for 5, for 6, for 8, for 10 or for 12? Here in this case, this table assumes 4 people. The accommodations are absolutely comfortable. If we have guests come over, it's probably comfortable for 2 more people. That said, in this living room, in this room, you can still use this table. To put something on, to serve, it is very comfortable, I like it. It is made just precisely for this particular project. You see, it matches the size of the window. In fact, everything in this living room is made by our furniture workshop, starting with these built-in shelves. By the way, note that they are not just attached to the wall. Here we made these cuts for each log. And it allows you to integrate built-in furniture very well into the living room, and not only the living room. The same shelves are very handy here, in the washroom. I think it's one of the best solutions. When we use the same material, the Kelo boards with that uncut edge, they fit in, blend into the style very well. When we make furniture, in this case doors, we use as a rule boards that have some kind of natural flaws. That is, some inside, you see. Here there are black spots. It may even be traces of decay. But in this case we really like this approach, because it gives extra light, some expressive texture to our furniture. And in this case, the door, what do you think? Please tell us in the comments below if you have any feedback. Honestly, I do have one comment, and it relates to the fact that all the shelves here are completely open. It's great to be able to put some cool artifacts, things like these wheelbarrows, bowls, flowers, vases. That's cool, but it's not always our way of life. That everything we want to put, it has to be in full view. I want to put something sometimes that it was on a closed shelf. There are no such shelves here. I can see that this is a drawback. But in principle, this disadvantage can easily be eliminated. You can make doors, you can make curtains out of textiles of some kind, and you get a closed shelf. Secondly, it seems to me there's not enough of a couch or an armchair in a good living room. Maybe even an armchair with a massage. We sometimes get those set up. And I think it's a nice comfortable thing too. In this case, there's not much room at all. I mean, for example, if it wasn't for this table, you could put a little couch in here. Although the space, of course, is limited. And for a full-fledged upholstered furniture group, so when you have a couch and a coffee table in front of it, there's really not much space. Tell me in the comments, whether in your opinion, an upholstered group in a bathhouse, or is that enough, this is just an ordinary bench. In the long run, you can lie down on such a bench. Although, by the way about this bench, I'd like to show and tell you separately. I like it very much. Why? Because this bench is actually integrated. In my opinion, it has found a perfect place. It can accommodate up to 5 people, and it has no legs, because it's got a diagonal strut, which supports it very securely. Please tell me in the comments if you like this approach. In general, the subject of building furniture. How much should it be developed? Or is it still right to have furniture that can be moved around the space? And this is what you prefer. So, let's go inside the main space, the steam room space, and see what kind of a washroom we have. So, the anteroom is the doorway to heaven, and the space in the anteroom is very limited. On the one hand. On the other hand, it's very light, because there's a window. Because again, there's this transom. That's why you feel very free here. There's a lot of air, by the way, because the ceiling is quite high. The only thing that's missing here, in my opinion, guess what? Of course, you need to have not only a shower and a washroom, but also a dousing bucket. And you can find a place for it here. This is the wall where the dousing bucket can be placed. So my remark and suggestion is still to put the dousing bucket, although write in the comments. I have made such an opinion. this position that in fact the dosing bucket is rarely used, because this cold water, that kind of shock therapy, well, it's not for everyone. Not everyone likes it. Do you like it? What do you do after you come out of the steam room? Tell us please in the comments below. We go into the steam room. We make 3 areas in the steam room, 1 area for seating. And these shelves here, that's what they're for. 1, 2, 3. And you see it as a rule here on the highest shelf. And I like this zone very much. It's just perfect ergonomics, comfortable for steaming. Why do you think this zone is perfect for steaming? First of all, because there's a comfortable ledge. That's where you stand up and you're pretty high up. Here, when you've got the brooms in your hands, you're free to blow steam right off the ceiling. It is very convenient that there is a window, and the window here is made of larch, without any varnish coating. And that's right for the steam room. It is very convenient to use it, to open in ventilation mode, to swing it open. No need to reach out, it's optimal. This is the main area, which is distinguished the Russian bath from the Finnish sauna. This is where you can get a steam bath with brooms, with all your heart and soul. Yeah, if the customer will let us, we'll take Anya in this bathhouse. Yes? Yes. Now I'm getting, I guess. That's the pleasure we build bathhouses like this for. Because the smell, the aroma of the dried cedar, Kelo, and a little bit of fur oil, it's a great feeling. And the temperature, there's a gradient of heat right there. The temperature in the foot area, the chest area, and the head area is about the same. The most important shelf is the one where Rani is lying right now. Look, I have some questions here by the way. There, to this part of the arm right here. You see it's hanging a little bit. It's perfect when the hand is fully seated, not hanging in the air. Now when his elbow is resting against the casing. Basically, if it wasn't for the window, it would be this wide. It's 80 centimeters wide, would have been enough. But it would be better, as you can see, to make it 90 or even 95. Well, it doesn't make sense to make it much bigger either, because when you're steaming, it's important that you can stretch. And if it's going to be 1.5 meters, it's going to be uncomfortable too. Now, about the steaming itself. Interesting that now the door is slightly open. Water comes out of the door, and you can warm up the brooms with steam in this way. In general, it's good to start steaming with foot massage, and massage can be done with this part of the broom. If it's done well. By the way, pay attention. It's important that the hand girth is comfortable, so that your hand does not rub against the twigs. It's important to make a good, proper rope. And if it's more or less flat like this, just like this. It's a perfect format to start steaming. It activates the nerve endings all along the length of our body. Friends, thank you for being with us. And we'll see you here again, because our customer asked us to replace the stove with a real Russian sauna heater. And we'll do that. And we'll show you how to put a new stove in an existing bathhouse, with minimal effort and in such a way so that it will always be there. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and like this video. See you soon! Bye! Friends, we're announcing a contest. In order to enter, you have to be a subscriber to our channel, hit the like to this video, and write in the comments what kinds of stoves do you know. The winner of the contest will receive our signature Art Kelo prize for oil and a steaming sachet with the secret contents inside.